Today we're going to be talking about cuttings, how to root fruit tree cuttings, or really any plant cuttings for that matter. So to begin, you're going to need a good, well-draining soilless medium usually. I've also used just perlite before, but you can experiment. I've even successfully used just straight sand, but it's a little bit harder to root out in my opinion than sand. So what I have here is some Pro Mix. I've had good success with this stuff. It's like 10 bucks a bag and you can get quite a few cuttings out of it. So I would recommend this stuff here. So we're gonna fill up our planter here. These are something I found locally from like Craigslist, I think. I paid dirt cheap for them, but these things work super good. I've already got some cuttings going on over here. I have some mulberries, as well as some Mexican sunflower. Sugarcane is hiding under there, and then some more mulberries will be going in here shortly. So and then do it one more time. Compacts it in there real well. So got some pruners on us. Let us head over to a fruit tree that we would like to take cuttings off of. Here's a Barbados cherry. I think I might actually take a few cuttings off of this little guy here. Super nice cherry you can grow in Florida. I got a few blooms up there, but I don't think that's gonna hurt much. I think we're actually gonna head over to the mulberry tree first. We got some sugarcane here, pomegranates. I've had success taking cuttings from pomegranates too. So speaking of pomegranates, check it out. We got some pomegranate set fruit here. There's another one there. Okay, we have our material here. Now today we're going to be taking some serious cuttings, but obviously you guys don't have to take this much if you've only got a little bit of plant material to work with. You know, like a branch like this would work perfect for taking a couple little trees. This would probably make maybe about 4 trees out of this size branch. You could probably get away with more if you really wanted to extend it, maybe 6, 7 trees. So what I like to do here first is I like to kind of cut like a template size. So around the size of my pruners, I like to try to get 2 nodes, which are where your branches come out of here. So 2 nodes below the surface to try to get a good chance at rooting, and then I like to keep 2 nodes above the surface. So around 7 inches I would say is a perfect size cutting. So let's see, right about here, strip off those 2 lower branches. Cut back the leaves here a little bit. I know a lot of people suggest to prune the tips off of the leaves to reduce evaporation. I know it's tempting to keep all your leaves on there, but you're not going to have nearly as good of a success chance if you keep all the leaves on there. I probably could have left 1 more on there, but you can root cuttings that have no leaves, so that's not really an issue. So once you have your template, if you have a lot of cuttings like me, you're going to go through, pretty much just line them up there, and then you're going to cut right about near the top of your template. Now you can grab it just like this. See how I still have my branches in my hand? We'll just cut them to that same length. Go all the way through. Sometimes I don't like messing with these, but today we're going to be rooting out these thinner cuttings too. They have just as good of a chance to root in my experience, so that's not really an issue. Now that you've got all your cuttings cut down to size, the size around that you'd like them, Like I said, I like around this size. That way you get around 2 nodes underneath the surface and then 2 to 3 above the surface. What you're going to want to do is strip off the leaves, whatever leaves are going to be under the surface, and then sometimes I even like to strip off the middle leaf again. Leave about 1 to 3 leaves on each. So do that to every single one of them that you've got. And if you want to, while you have them in your hand, get you a pair of scissors and clip off the majority of the leaves on these guys. So a little over half. I mean, you can experiment with that. You can, you know, try to just clip off the tip maybe, or clip off majority of the leaf and then see how your success reflects what you've done. But do that to all your cuttings, and then I'll get back to you when I'm done with mine. Here's a tip for you too. If you're working on a lot of cuttings, I would suggest to spray them down while you're working with them, just so you don't get them too dried out, you know what I'm saying? So just spray them down just a little bit, you know, keep them hydrated while you're cutting them up. You don't want them to dry out too far while you're getting them prepared. All right, we're down to our last cutting here. Now, I'm not sure exactly how many I have, but I would assume near 100, maybe a little bit over. So even if our success rate is at 50%, I mean, we're still gonna end up with a lot of trees. So once you have your stack of cuttings, make sure you tried to put them, if possible, straight up and down so you didn't lose track of the orientation there. But you're gonna bring them over to your next station if you have another station. So we've already got our Pro Mix loaded up here. Now this is too dry. Now this has barely any moisture in it at all. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab my hose real quick. We're gonna wet it down just a little bit. Now make sure you do not waste your excess leaves here. Now this makes great compost or mulch for any of your existing fruit trees. If anything, throw it right underneath your mulberry tree again. It's the perfect food for a mulberry tree. All right, we're gonna give our existing cuttings a little bit of a spray down here too. All right, so like I said, a lot of the times I'll do this before I load the soil in, just so I know I have a pretty good moisture level there. You don't want it soggy, but you don't want it dry either. So right in between. One more. Now here in the Florida heat, this stuff is gonna dry out quick anyways. So what I have set up here is a little bit of a misting system. I found this thing here at or on eBay for, I think it was like maybe less than 20 bucks. It came with the line and the little misters as well. And I got me a little automatic watering timer here. So I have the timer set up to the misters. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna come on every, I think I have it set to every 6 hours. It's gonna come on and mist for 10 minutes. So all your cuttings, I will make sure, even if you're not around, it'll keep everything moist. It'll keep the environment controlled for you just how they need it. They need it humid, they need it moist. And for the last and final step, I would recommend that you have some of this stuff. This is a rooting hormone. It's like a powder. You can also get it in like a liquid or a gel. Now for those cuttings and the cuttings I've taken previously, I've taken some fig cuttings and I don't know, some assorted different things. Pomegranates I had really good success with. These things are overdue for a planting though, and some fertilizing, but these things are fully rooted out. Let me just show you real quick. These were cuttings off of my pomegranate tree. Look at that, even a little bit root bound too. But in need of a little bit of love. I just redid the greenhouse over here, so I'm trying to get everything a little bit organized and efficient. But we're gonna take our rooting hormone And some people say to put it in a separate container so you don't get the mix contaminated, but this is really on its way out anyways. This is pretty old. I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know if the rooting hormone is gonna make much of an effect anyways, because mulberries are one of those things that they seem to take root really well. I've had multiple successes with mulberry cuttings. So we're gonna try to go a little bit of a bigger scale this time. What you're gonna want to do is just try to get whatever's underneath the soil there. Your first note or two, you're gonna want to try to get some powder on. Like I said, it's not a huge deal, but here's our first cutting going in the dirt. All right, on our last cutting here, and then this will be an entire flat filled up. I believe this is around, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. I believe there's about 40 cuttings here. So this flat I did the rooting hormone on, and this flat I did not. So maybe we'll do a little bit of a comparison to see if my success increases with the rooting hormone versus the non-rooting hormone. So if you guys want to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, I will have an update for you here as soon as these things start to show a little bit of life. And if they all die, well, hey, I'll have an update of that for you too. I'm gonna have to arrange this a little differently. Bring this guy out this way. So I'll have my rooting hormone flats facing this way and my non-rooting hormone flats facing that way, just so we can keep them separate. Now I have another flat here, and I have plenty of cuttings left, so I would say, yeah, we probably have about around 80 cuttings, most likely. Now these are some that I did yesterday. These are a little bit dehydrated. I don't think the soil was packed down in there quite firm enough. I'll say you don't want it too loose, but you don't want it too compact either. So we'll go at it again. We'll fill up this rack here and we'll get back to you when we're done. Okay, everybody, that's it for this tray here. That's another 40 in the tray. So in total, it looks like we've got 4, 8, 12, about 160 Everbearing Mulberry cuttings that we're trying to root right now. Now I'm trying to keep them nice and close together too. Pack them in dense so you can fit more, and it'll kind of help to keep the environment humid so you don't get as much evaporation on the leaves. That's going to be one of your major concerns. If you put this right out in direct sunlight, your leaves are going to burn up, all the water is going to just shoot right out of the stalks, and your cuttings are going to shrivel up and die. So you want to kind of get them just moist enough, not overly moist. Like I was trying to say, you don't want them soggy and soaked where they will rot, but then you don't want them dry either. So what I've got going on here is I'm under a little bit of a greenhouse structure, but I have some shade cloth over top. So I have a nice shaded environment here, kind of a protected environment where I can still get wind in and out, still get a nice breeze through everything, but at the same time I got some shade and it's a nice humid environment in here. So like I said, these misters too, make sure that you do not forget about these, because if you wait too long to come out here and check on them, they could all be shriveled up and dead. That's why I highly suggest trying to put in some kind of an automatic irrigation misting system. But until then, just make sure you get in here. Make sure they do not dry out under any circumstances. You do not want them to dry completely out. From that batch of cuttings, we still have probably another 10 or 12, around another dozen cuttings that we would like to still root out. So you don't need these trays. This is something my girlfriend Destiny was trying to do. She wanted to try to do some more rose cuttings. She actually had success over here with one. Let me show you this. This was a little rose cutting not too long ago, probably a couple months ago. She just went out, she was trimming her roses, she stuck it in the dirt, she didn't do anything special, and now look what she's got. She's got another little small rose plant to plant. Now I want to show you a couple of my successes as well. I got some fig trees. These were cuttings, a little bit yellow in the leaves, but just need some nutrition. It's fully rooted out. And let me take you around to some of the mulberry cuttings that I have rooted in previous years and show you how awesome they're doing. So here's a small mulberry cutting that I just recently planted once it got rooted out. So this thing is probably from cutting only a few months old. I took this guy, I don't remember the exact date, so that's why I'm trying to keep everything a little bit more organized this time. But these things grow incredibly fast, and when you take them from cutting, you don't have to wait around long for fruit. They're gonna fruit for you super quick. Here is another mulberry tree that I took from cutting. I'd say this one's probably more like 1.5 years old now, but this thing is massive. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's probably, I don't know, 15+ feet tall. It's loaded down with fruit. I've only ever bought one of these Everbearing mulberry trees, and now I have at least, I think, 4 of them that are fruiting now in the yard. Plus I have many more small ones coming up. Here's another one that I took from cutting. This one's getting big. It's, I think, taller than me now. So that's another Everbearing mulberry. Over here is another one that I took from cutting. Duck says hello. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to stay tuned to see how these guys do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Maybe smash that bell too to get updates when I post another video. I usually do metal detecting videos, so if you see one of those and you're not interested, just don't watch that. And if you're one of the people who watch me usually for metal detecting, I appreciate you watching. I hope you guys learned something from this one, and I'll see you guys on the next one.